what's going on, everybody? UltimatDjz here from the Teaching Trick YouTube channel, here to talk to you today about the brand spanking new Mantis that a lot of you just picked up over the last 30 days. The event store sourced the BPs, and a lot of you guys have it now. So we did do some content on this a couple of months ago when it first came out, but how about a refresher course? By the way, shout out to the player for providing the amazing art. Check that out. Look, there's me and my little Borg face. I got a little Borg face down there. I'm at the con. Looks like we got community manager Beck likes plants there in the captain's chair. Look, there's Rep Dews up there, and I'm sure that there's some other amazing people depicted in this art. Thank you very much, Beck, for sharing it, and to the player for rendering it for the enjoyment of the community. Let's hop into the game here, and we are taking a look here at what we're going to do with the Mantis. Now, my Mantis is a little bit farther along, a few months in, as compared to some of you guys who just unlocked it. But we are going to talk about the crew. We're going to talk about the research a little bit and talk about the Exo-comps that are available in Mantis space. Let me first start with a crew set that a lot of people been going with. Now, let me disclaim, this is not the ideal crew. I'm going to do a Mythbusters here on you guys tonight. This is a crew that is non-cargo oriented, all right? Because I do know that there are people out there that are running max cargo crews, and that is certainly feasible. We'll talk about how that can benefit you and potentially hurt you on a little bit later in the video. But I prefer to go for maximum damage. I'm trying to do this as quickly as possible. It's no secret. I do not like to grind, so I'm not trying to spend an hour at a time down in Mantis space, which is also part of the reason that even though I'm an Ops 49 player, I really don't like using G4 ships in here. I do actually like using the Mantis. It's quick, it's easy, it gets me what I need, and I'm good to go with that. However, there is a factor to using G4 ships, as Bubba pointed out on the show the other day. There is the factor of burst play, right? Being able to grind for an hour or two and being set for, you know, several weeks at a time, potentially. I'm okay going down there every couple of days. I don't go every single day. I'm okay going down there every couple of days if I've got the loot, the venom that I need, and the Mantis allows me to do that. But it took a minute to balance this thing out. So let's talk first about the crew. Statistics are everything. Run 5 of 11 in the captain's chair. That's getting me some mitigation. Also, the bonus loot from her officer ability. That's kind of a no-brainer. I'm also running Gorkon. Why would I be running Gorkon? Well, I could run Gorkon or Lorca in this spot. If I'm going for maximum damage output, I know some people, again, going for cargo. I'm doing it for the maximum damage output because if Gorkon or Lorca, depending on who may have better stats for you, in my case, it's absolutely Gorkon, because what I'm looking to do here is to inspire hull breach. All right, when the ship hits the opponent with a critical hit, which after my very first hostile, 100% of my shots are going to be critical. So this guy has a 90% chance of causing a hull breach for 3 rounds. Hull breach, as you guys remember, when you fire a critical shot, hull breach increases the critical damage multiplier, okay? So if I'm getting 100% crits, then Gorkon is going to make those crits significantly larger by a percentage, and that is what I'm going for, maximum damage output. The other officer here that we're going to disprove is Marcus. Now, a lot of people fell into this trap, myself included, because I'm looking at Marcus and I'm thinking, okay, he is going to be great against shield piercing, right? That's what I want. I want to go against shield piercing because these hostiles down here, they all, whether they're coded as an explorer or coded as an interceptor in the case of the Apex, you come in and you take a look at their stats, and their stats are absolutely defensively, as far as mitigation goes, they are stacked up on shield deflection. So even though they're written like an interceptor, they are statistically coded like an explorer. Well, I fell into that trap, as did many, many other players, and I thought, well, okay, I'm going to use Marcus here. I'm going to use Marcus, and that's the way to go. Well, we'll show you how that works in comparison to the officer of alternative here in just a moment. Here we are in Mantis space. I'm going to pause for a moment while I fly in and then we'll take a look at the crew sets that we're going to run in here, okay? So we're going to set our sights on Mantis space. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Hang on. While we're waiting to fly in on here, I thought, well, I could go ahead and talk to you a little bit about the Exos. So while we still have a little bit of warp time, what is the proper order of Exos that you're going to hit? Well, there's, again, 2 schools of thought on that, not wildly dissimilar. And then there is a unanimous last place, which is the crit damage here. But we'll talk about why, all right? So when you come in, you're going to have 3 different types of hostiles. You're going to have 2 different kinds of explorers, Axion Chrysalis that don't have an Exo, Axion Chrysalis that do have an Exo, and then Axion Apex that are indicated as an interceptor. So what hostiles do you want to hit first? My personal recommendation is to always go for crit chance first, all right? What I mean by that is the symbol that has the percentage icon in it, and that just simply means that it's got a diluted nitrium Exo-comp in it. This is an auto-activated Exo-comp, so once you kill the hostile, it automatically activates, and it's good for a period of 5 minutes. What happens during this 5 minutes is that the Mantis will get 100% critical chance, all right? That means no matter what, I'm throwing a critical shot. I like that. Again, I'm I'm crewed with Gorkon. I'm going for hull breach. I'm going for maximum damage. So this is always going to be the first shot or the first Exo-comp that I'm going to take. Next for me, and arguably some players are going to say this is their number one, is going to be the Chrysalis with the little weapon symbol, the projectile symbol, and that is Chrysalis Silk. The Mantis gains an additional shot every single round, which is also pretty significant. Again, you're going for damage output. So not a ton of variance between these two. Whichever one you go with is going to be pretty daggone good. And then, of course, in third place, by unanimous decision, is going to be the Chrysalis with the triangle in it. And that is cytotoxin slime. It's going to add 50% to your crit damage. Now, even this one, I do like. All right, it's not as earth-shattering as the others, but I'm already going for a crit damage build with Gorkon, crit and hull breach. So when I've got 100% crits, I don't mind to take extra damage, because then on top of that, when I get hull breach, I'm getting even more damage. So that is the order in which I would hit them, all right, is crit chance, extra shot, then crit damage. You can see here now our Mantis is in the system, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with the critical chance Exo hostile. Now, this is an explorer, which means that my Marcus should do pretty daggone good against this guy. And indeed, it looks like it does. I took about 5 to 10% damage to my hull. I'm going to come up here. Now I've got crit chance. You see that little triangle symbol right there? That means my Exo-comp or my buff automatically activated. I go for extra shots next, and you can see I've got the +1. That means now there are 2 buffs at play. And now I'm going for my critical damage, okay? That was a 50% boost. Now, from here on out, I am all about the Apex, all right? I am going to try to look at the system to make sure that there's not too many other players in here while I'm going at it, but I am going to go after these Apex. Now, there should, in a normal system, if there's not anything broken, there should always be 3 Apex. No One Shell talked about this in a video the other day, shout out. Once you kill one, they don't necessarily proc again right away, so what I might do is just move that ship. Real quick little impulse burst, and that's going to reproc my third one. Not a huge thing to do here, but I will do it, especially when my Apex are scattered all the way across the system. I might do that little impulse stutter just to maybe see if the next one might proc a little bit closer to me. That's going to save on a little bit of impulse time because I may not have focused a great deal on that research. So reducing the amount of time in between the hostiles is absolutely imperative. You'll notice here I just killed one. I come straight for the second one. When I do that, here's the second one that pops. There is still 3 in the system, but just in the off chance that one might proc next to me, I'm going to do my little impulse stutter. And actually, look, it actually worked out. You see that? It actually procced right next to me. So that's going to allow me to get this one, boom, boom, and boom, 3 of them, all within an impulse of about 12 seconds. That's important to me because what I'm actually trying to do here is reduce the amount of time it takes to fill my cargo. If you look right over my shoulder here, you can see that I can hold about 110,000 cargo with this setup. And obviously the Apex are the ones that hold the significant amounts of cargo. So my goal is to try to get that cargo full before the expiration of my exos. Now, here's a good example. I'm all the way down here. I got one up here, one up here. Let's do a quick little impulse stutter just to see where the other one pops up. It's all in the same region, so we might as well just go ahead and impulse back up there. We can also see inside our ship management screen how much, or at least a visual indicator of how much time is left on my exos. I'm about halfway through now, and if we take a look at my cargo, I'm also about halfway through with my cargo. So running right on time here, maybe a couple of seconds behind. I want to try to really jam this thing out and fill my cargo, ideally on one set of exos so that I don't have to refresh those things. And then, of course, if I did, that means I finished an entire run in 5 minutes, which is an acceptable amount of time for me. I don't like grinding. Some of you guys may like to do that a little bit more. And again, in this particular case, if you had max cargo on this ship, you might not be hitting quite the high level. You're probably giving up a little bit of your firepower there, but you can get more cargo, which some of you guys, especially at the very, very low tiers, like tier 2 and tier 3, I think that you should be focused on cargo at those levels, just trying to absolutely punch that ship up to about tier 4, tier 5 relatively quickly. Of course, that does depend on your research, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that here in just a moment. While I finish out this cell, I'll pause the video just for a moment, although it does look like we are almost done, and because we got about 90,000 out of the 110. So I'll pause the video and come back in just a second. All right, we're getting ready to hit our final hostile. How do I know it's my last one? Well, I can take a look at my cargo here. I got 106.5 out of the 110. I've got this last apex coming up here. You can see my boosts are still good, just barely under the clock, which means I did, in fact, complete this run in under 5 minutes. So that's actually a good thing. And there we go. Cargo is full because of the on bug. It's showing 109.44 out of 110. I'm going to go ahead and bring this thing home, but I do want to point out very quickly, if you take a look at the amount of hull that we've got left here, we are taking a look, and that's probably, what, about 30 to 35% remaining hull. Now, I'm going to use this opportunity right now to go ahead and show you guys a hypothesis, which is that Marcus is not the ideal officer to use here. As a matter of fact, I'm going to suggest Kang. What? That's crazy. I know, it took me a minute to see the light as well, guys, but take a look at this. We're going to, well, now we're showing full hull, but don't forget what we were looking at here just a few minutes ago is about 35% hull, which, again, we'll have to take a look when we get home because, you know, yay, bugs. But what I want to do here is show off the work of another player, Quirky Zombie. You guys recognize his mitigation tool here. Lots of great information here. But here's where this thing really kind of threw us off, because we saw a moment ago at the beginning when we were looking at the different types that they're really built up on shield deflection, even though they are interceptors. So if I'm going for shield, shield piercing, which is what Marcus does, then I'm taking a look here at what it is that I'm actually trying to accomplish with my mitigation and my piercing. So, for example, we can see how surveys, and this would also be good for armadas in a lot of cases, how the three statistical balances, or the three statistical numbers are relatively balanced. Now, don't freak out that they don't equal 100%, because there is a large piece of this formula. Like that is a crazy formula. All right, but when we're taking a look at shield deflection, dodge, or armor, right, in mitigation, or if you're looking at piercing, which is armor piercing, shield piercing, which is what Marcus does, and accuracy, which is what Kang does, when we take a look at what the hostile is going to be mitigating, it's not a survey, all right? As a matter of fact, it is an interceptor, okay? We see and we think that we should be using explorer type mechanics because of the statistics, the shield deflection mitigation from the hostile. But in fact, what we are doing when we try to step outside the triangle there is we're actually changing these stats. So again, going against an explorer, for example, the shield piercing would actually be rated at 55%, while accuracy is 20%, and armor piercing is 20%, all right? Now, if we take a look at Kang, because these officers, or because these hostiles are coded as interceptors, we can see here that even though we're using Marcus, which is shield piercing, it's only at a multiplier of 0.2 or the 20%. Whereas if I'm using Kang, I'm actually getting 55%. So even though they're coded as they're statistically mathematically done as explorers, they are still technically interceptors, and this 55% is almost 2.5 times that of what your shield piercing would be. So we are going to use the triangle formula for these interceptors. We're already against it, against the triangle, because we're using a battleship, but we're going to manipulate these statistics, load up with Kang and accuracy, because that's what's going to overwhelm an interceptor. So we're going to come back into the base where our ship is now back, and while we're waiting on that to repair, we'll take a look very quick at our last hostile that we hit. That way we can see kind of a benchmark for our hull. And you take a look right over here behind me. That's probably, what, about 30, between 30 and 35% is what my remaining hull was to bring home 110,000 cargo. So let's repair, let's flip it up, and we're going to run back on Kang this time. And we're going to hop back into that system and take another run here with Kang. So we're going to flip this out, and we're going to come over here. We're going to add Kang back, and then we're going to try to see if we can load up on our attack stats a little bit while keeping all of our statistical bonuses absolutely maxed out. You can see I do have La'an down here, and then I substitute Crass in for Charbonnet to boost my attack stats. So this is the new crew that we're going to go with, and we're going to head back into this space. Let's first, just a little bit of a helpful hint, always take a look in here before you fly in and make sure all of your exos are present. That way you don't come in here and you're waiting on an exo to pop, especially before you've even started. I do see all three of my exos, so I consider it safe to go ahead and fly in here. We'll do that, and we'll be back in just a moment. As we're flying back into Mantis space, I want to call back and remind you about the damage that we took on the very first hostile that we hit. As a matter of fact, it is in fact an explorer. So Marcus is going to do better on these, but if you've set yourself up in a position to maximize your damage output, maximize your cargo for what you can do, and be able to get out in under 5 minutes, this is the strategy that I've chosen to adopt, is to get all that stuff done within 5 minutes. So there really should only be 3 explorers that I hit the entire time. Rest of the time, I'm hitting interceptors. So I'm going to try the method with Kang, knowing that I'm trying to get this done inside of 5 minutes, because Kang helps me against interceptors, of which I'm hitting a lot more of in one run than I am the explorers. Marcus is going to help me on those explorers. So now we're going to come in, and we are going to take a schwack at one of these explorers, even though we have Kang. All right. And this first one, it's going to scare you. It's going to startle you very, very much, because it's going to take a significant chunk of your hull. That is the first one right there, but not wildly that bad. Definitely a little bit more than what we lost with Marcus. And again, we are going against the explorers right here up front, so it's expected that we're going to lose a little bit more. But then in the long run, we're going to be hitting a lot more Apex Interceptor, and so Kang is going to do a lot better there. Now, there was also the comment on our podcast the other day from Putz, who says, well, listen, I still like to go with Marcus because I'm not going to get it done in 5 minutes, but once I get those couple of Apex done up front, then for the most part, I am going to be somewhat protected against the Apex because of the 3 Exos. Knowing that he's going to be there for more than 5 minutes, he's going to have to come back and hit more Exo-comp explorers after this original 5 minutes is up. So he still likes to keep with Marcus there because he knows that he's going to have to actually hit more of these than the original opening 3. And that is also a very, very valid thing depending on where you're trying to work as far as cargo and how long this loop is actually going to take you. Now, you can see we've made it through our explorers. We're now on Apex. We've already lost probably 25 to 30% of our hull, but that's because we were trying to hit those explorers up front. We're going to step away for just a moment. In the interest of time, I'm going to grind out some of these Apex, and we'll be back as we're getting ready to fill that cargo to take a look at these final hull figures and see which one is actually better. Back in a moment. All right, we're getting ready to hit our last one. I sure hope that my Exo is going to hang out. Nope, I just lost it. I need one more. I needed one more, and it died. But I still have 106,000. You can see I just lost an Exo. I'm down to +1. So even though I hit one less hostile, let's take a quick look here at what our hull health looks like. And it is, in fact, probably about 65 to 70%. That is after we hit, a significant number of hostiles. I've just lost more. I am going to go ahead, just so I don't leave 3,000 cargo on the table, which I know sounds crazy. But I'm going to go ahead and hit this last hostile. But obviously, for the intent of our test, we see the hull health there as, what it was when I would have lost that last Exo-comp. Even though I hit an Exo or hit an Apex without any Exos, I still didn't do that bad. Still finished with about 55 to 60%, but like we saw a second ago, about 65, 70%. No, let's go ahead and recall this, and we're going to talk about why this is, okay? Let's go back into the battle logs, and we're going to choose to compare this one, which is right before I lost my last Exo. We take a look there. It is probably about 60% hull health remaining, even though we had 106 out of the 109,000 cargo. Again, remembering going back and looking at the last run where we finished with about 35% hull to get that full cargo. All right. That is what the mitigation formula is actually doing. Even though we're a battleship going against an interceptor, we're using Kang here. Okay. We're using the battle triangle, and these, of course, known as the Trinity officers, the triangle busters, and definitely, absolutely, in fact, having this done here. Now, just like we were talking a few moments ago about Putz's formula, I'm going to use Marcus because I know I'm going to have to hit more Apex eventually. The idea or the suggestion that I would make there is when you are looking at your Exo-comps up here, which mine have already run out, but if you see yourself running on like the last 15% of those things, I would, in fact, go ahead and seek out the other Chrysalis while you still have all 3 Exos running. That's going to give you all those wild firepower benefits. You're only really giving up a few seconds of the first set of Exos because as soon as you hit the new Exos, it's going to restart another 5 minutes. Now, what determines, this is the second part of this video and it'll be our last piece, what determines the level of hostile that you're hitting? For example, what I hear from a ton of people is that 33 and 34 space is absolutely slammed. Let's just take a look inside my 33 system here on server 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blue players in here, and that's actually a little bit mild for most of the time I look in here. 5 in there. We take a look at the 34 system. We've only got 1 in here right now, so definitely at this time of night, it's a little bit lighter, which could be something that you do. Again, trying to find a little bit lighter time to play during these systems so that you've got unfettered access to all the Apex. But if on your server, these systems stay really, really busy, well, where should you be going, right? What hostiles should you be hitting, and when can you actually punch up to the next level? Well, the answer lies within this particular chart. This is what we actually built when the Mantis first came out. Your ops logs are over here, and this speaks to the intent of this loop. So I'm going to slide the cat over so we can take a look. As far as data goes, I don't have the tier 10, 11, and 12 refineries. Tier 9 doesn't look like I've got that. Jules Verne actually does have a much better chart than this, but the reason that I show this one off is particularly for these ops logs over here, okay? And the ops logs are really, really important because I'm an ops 49. All right, I'm a 49, which means I should be hitting level 50 hostiles, right? No. As a matter of fact, you just saw me hitting the 41s. But what I can do with these hostiles is I'm actually coming back and using the balance that Scopely wrote in, the balance that game design wrote in to the Mantis to compare this ship and its tier to what I should be doing. So my Mantis is tier 6. If I come back over here and I take a look at tier 6, the ops lock on that is 39, okay? Ops 39 is where you can have a tier 6 Mantis. All right. So what I would say as a baseline is that the hostiles that you're hitting should commiserate to or should correspond to the tier of your ship. But that's not it. Not just the tier of your ship, but also the research that goes along with it. Taking a look here at STFC.space. Shout out my man Rip. Let's take a look at some of these researches here, okay? We got Mantis cargo, hull plating, impulse speed, protected cargo, shield power, and weaponry. Now, I have done what I believe is broken these researches up, and I'm assuming priority on what I call the must-haves or the necessary. All right, and that is Mantis cargo, Mantis hull plating, and Mantis weaponry. Those, I think, are the three must-haves. The other, impulse speed, protected cargo, and to a lesser extent, shield power. These are, in my opinion, not necessary, okay? These are convenience researches. As a matter of fact, when you saw me go through a minute ago, on not a single hostile did I actually lose shield health. So that kind of eliminates the shield. Impulse just makes me go faster, and protected cargo, which is going to help me get it done quicker, and therefore fall within one set of exos very much, potentially. But also protected cargo, because you might have people that might hunt on your server. So these are convenience items, but not necessary to the loop, all right? So when I here at Ops 49 say that I have a tier 6 Mantis, before I want to take this thing to tier 7, I kind of want to have all the research maxed out for what an Ops 39 can have. Now, obviously, as an Ops 49, I can do a lot of research, but I'm not trying to do too much research because these things scale by ops, not only with the ops of the research, but also of the research ions that you're getting out of the Mantis refinery. If you try to build up on cargo too high, then your research is actually going to take longer because you're not getting as many ions in your pulls as you are needing for that level of research. So it is kind of important to build evenly. So if I'm tier 6, what do I need before going tier 7? I want to have all the research that an Ops 39 can have for the Mantis. And when I say all the research, I mean my big three. So let's take a look at Mantis cargo. If, again, I'm tier 6 trying to figure out when I should go to tier 7, that's going to be when I've maxed my research for an Ops 39. I'm going to take a look here, and I'm going to determine that an Ops 39 should have up to Mantis cargo 8. That's what they should have, up to Mantis cargo 8. So let's go into the research tree and see how close I am to that, how much more that I need to do to kind of catch up to where the ship should be. We'll take a look at the starships tree and take a look at my Mantis cargo. It's actually already level 9, so I'm covered on that front. Let's go back to the researches and take a look at hull plating. I also consider that one to be very important. What can a level 39 do? We're going to take a look. A level 39 can be all the way through hull plating number 8. Well, let's go back into the game and see where we are. I'm at hull plating 7, so I've got a research to do here before I want to graduate, okay? So I'm going to do another level of research here, maybe a couple if you want to punch up a little bit, because that is ultimately going to save you some time. But at the very least, I want to have hull plating to level 8 before I go. The third one that I consider to be super important is Mantis weaponry. What can I have as an Ops 39? I can only have level 3 on Mantis weaponry. That's as high as I can go. See, it jumps from 38 to 41. All right, so at a level 39, I can only have Mantis weaponry 3, and I take a look in here, and I'm actually cruising pretty good. I've got 5 done, working on number 6. So really, truthfully, I'd bang that out. I'd do another level or 2 of hull plating, probably only 1, and then I am going to be able to hit at my pay grade. What hostiles should I be hitting at Ops 39? Well, it's crazy, isn't it? It's absolutely nuts. Let's hop back into the game and take a look again at this space over here, and we will be able to determine kind of pretty much the same. Whoa, where'd I go? I got lost somewhere. Okay, very much the same. We've got this entire circle here that goes from 33 to 49. All right, let's go back to the chart. It caps out at 50, starts at 34, well, 34 to get to tier 2, 33 to get this thing built. So guess what? These ops logs are also going to kind of give me a clue as to where I should be hitting. As a tier 6, not an Ops 49, but as a tier 6, I should be hitting approximately 39. My ops and my research has given me a little bit of an advantage as an Ops 49. You guys saw that I was hitting 41s. I was hitting 40s for a while, and now I'm punching up a little bit higher to get to the 41s. You can too with advanced research, especially some of the higher ops level players. Don't forget, cargo is also going to be impacted by your treasury building as well, right? So the higher you've got that, the more cargo space that you've got. I could very well drop back and run full cargo and drop back and hit the 40s or even the 39s. But what does that do? A very common very common precedent in this game is that I can hit up. It's going to cost me more, but it's going to save me time, or I can hit down. It'll be much cheaper, but it's going to take a lot more time. That is the choice that I've got. I will always choose my time over it being a little bit cheaper or, just long grinds. I don't like it. So I'm going to punch up as best I can. And you saw I just pulled out 109,000 Venom in less than 5 minutes. And that is your not so quick and dirty breakdown into the Mantis loop. A lot of you guys are getting this ship now. It's very important for you to know how to use it. And these are some of the detailed mechanics that we've discovered over the last couple of months that should help you progress and get out of this 33 and 34 system where it's so crowded. Really, truthfully, we're hearing a lot of players saying once you get out of these two systems, move to the 35, 36, the experience becomes a lot better because you're not fighting over the apex. There's not as many players in these upper systems, and honestly, that's probably because a lot of players don't know that they could be hitting up, or they're not building evenly with their research. You follow this guide, and you will be experiencing very, very good mechanics with your Mantis. So, that being said, is there a holding spot? Well, I used to think that there was, and some players will still say that there is, if they're not using the Mantis. Or, in Bubba's case, if he doesn't want to do this every day or at least every other day, all right? And that is a valid point. But I'll tell you, you take a look at the ions balance here. I found a very nice little balance here at tier 5. And the math that we've done here is based on doing doubles of everything. All right, which is going to be tough, right? If you're doing doubles of everything, you're not going to be able to use the Mantis and do doubles of everything every single day. But I have found a really nice balance right here. I rushed to get to tier 4, tier 5, and now I've dropped to single parts. And guess what? If I do single parts every single day, I can do a double research every 3 days. I can do the double recruiting token every 2 days, and I can do double syndicate every single day, and I can do single parts every single day, and maybe even once or twice a week I could do a double parts if I wanted to. There is an excess of Venom if you follow this pattern and do the research that's going to allow your Mantis to keep up. That is it. Oh, God, it's too long, and people are going to fuss at me because the video is too long. But here's everything you need to know about the Mantis, its loop, its research, and what you should be hitting. And even a little bit of crew thrown in there. My name is UltimatDjz. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, give us a like. Click on that pause up button and share with your team. While you're here, we'd like to invite you to subscribe to the channel. If you have questions or even suggestions, alternatives for improvement, leave them in the comments below and let's talk about them. In the meantime, thank you guys so very, very much. Click on the bell before you go so you know about other content that we do here on this channel. And as always, allow me to say thank you very much for watching our content. My name is UltimatDjz, your friendly neighborhood cat person, saying meow for now. We'll catch you on the next one. Love you, mean it. Meow. Bye-bye.